Well, good morning, and welcome to Tuesdays with the Pilgrim. Today we continue our journey with Pilgrim and Faithful with Chapter 12, starting at Part 2. And let's see how far we can get today, shall we? Let's begin. Chapter 12, Part 2, A Mountain Called Error. Then I saw in my dream that in the morning the shepherds beckoned Christian and Hopeful to walk with them upon the mountains. So they went off together, enjoying the lovely views that were on every side. Then the shepherds said to one another, "Shall we show these pilgrims some wonders?" They decided to do so, and carefully escorted the pilgrims to the top of a mountain called Error. It was very steep on its farthest side. They told them to look down to the very bottom. So Christian and Hopeful looked down and saw at the bottom several dead bodies that had been dashed to pieces. These had fallen all the way from the top. "What does this mean?" asked Christian. One of the shepherds replied, "Haven't you heard of those who listened and were deceived by Hymenaeus and Philetus, who promoted the false doctrine concerning the resurrection of the body?" The pilgrims answered they had. Then the shepherds said, "Those whom you see dashed to pieces at the bottom of this mountain are they. To this day they remain unburied, as you can see, as an example for others to heed. Climbing this mountain can be treacherous, especially when one goes too high or ventures too near the edge." Chapter 12, Part 3, A Mountain Called Caution. Then I saw the shepherds take them to the top of another mountain, the name of which was Caution. They told them to look far off in the distance. When they did, they thought they could see several people walking up and down among tombs that were there. Because of the way they sometimes stumbled over the tombs and couldn't seem to find their way out among them, the pilgrims deduced that they were blind. Then Christian asked, "What does this mean?" One of the shepherds answered, "Did you notice a short distance below these mountains, on the left side of the way, some steps that led over a fence into a meadow?" They answered, "Yes." "From the steps there is a path that leads directly to Doubting Castle, which is owned by Giant Despair." Then one shepherd pointed at the men among the tombs and said, "All these people were once on a pilgrimage to the city as you are now, until they came to those steps. Because the right way was rough in that place, they chose to go out into that meadow, and were taken by Giant Despair and cast into Doubting Castle. After they had been kept a while in the dungeon, he at last put out their eyes and led them among the tombs, where to this very day he has let them wander, so that the saying of the wise man might be fulfilled, 'A man who strays from the path of understanding comes to rest in the company of the dead.'" Then Christian and Hopeful looked at one another and burst into tears, but they said nothing to the shepherds. Chapter 12, Part 4, A Byway to Hell. Then I saw in my dream that the shepherds took them to the bottom of the mountain. There was a door in the side of a hill. The shepherds opened the door and told the pilgrims to look inside, and they did so. They saw that it was very dark and smoky inside. They also thought they heard a sound like a roaring fire and eerie cries of people suffering in torment. In addition, there was a strong odor of sulfur. "What does this mean?" asked Christian. A shepherd answered, "This is a byway to hell, a way through which hypocrites enter, namely those who sell their birthrights along with Esau, those who sell their master along with Judas, those who blaspheme the gospel along with Alexander, and those who lie and hide under false appearances along with Ananias and Sapphira." Then Hopeful said to the shepherds, "I perceive that each of these appeared to be on a pilgrimage, even as we are now. Is this true?" "Yes," said one of the shepherds, "and they held that appearance for quite some time, too." "Well, how far did they succeed on their pilgrimage before they came to such a miserable end?" "Some got further than these mountains, others not so far." Then the pilgrims said to each other, "We have a great need to cry to the Strong One for strength." "Yes," answered another of the shepherds, "and you will need all that you can get." Well, that's our reading for today. Next week we'll pick up with Chapter 12, Part 5, A View of the City. So we have that to look forward to. I hope you've enjoyed today's readings, and until Friday, when we have story time or some cooking or whatever I decide to get into this week, take care, stay safe, and God bless.